Hi everyone, I'm sure you're aware that I'm obviously not currently in work, but I'll still do the best I can to facilitate your learning. A lot of what I'll be asking to do will be to communicate uploading your work through Moodle so I can see what you understand and just answering any sort of chats that like I asked you guys to do yesterday. So last week I got you guys to research the cardiovascular system and name the sections of the heart to familiarise yourself with the different terminology. Obviously I know that yesterday you went through this presentation, and on the back of that I put up a sort of cardiovascular chat for you guys to say what you still don't understand. So I thought it would be best for me to record over the presentation today, so you guys can like fast forward to the sections you don't understand, so you can get a bit more information about it. Yeah, just want to say, if I ask you to do a task, I expect you to do the task properly. If I ask you to upload it to Moodle, or if I ask you to communicate your understanding of the topic, I expect you guys to do it with a professional manner. I don't expect people to mess around and be immature. Just want to clear that up. Kieran, you've probably saw about 20 times since I've been absent, so therefore I'll be collecting the funds you owe me when I get back. Nicholas, if you're there, you're probably not. Put your lanyard on. And Amy, get your feet off the chair. Anyway, guys, today I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna go back over the presentation with you. If you didn't fill out this handout yesterday, I want you guys to fill it out so that you've got the information for your exam. So it's quite a simplistic resource that you guys can use when revising for your exam. Let's make this into a slideshow. So, for Amy, who always asks me, what unit is this? Is Unit 7, Anatomy and Physiology for Sports Performance. I don't need to go through this section with you guys because you guys should have done it yesterday. Just written down a few things that you remember from the previous week. So maybe you might have written down some terminology that you remember about the heart, for example. So there's 6 different sections to sort of this week's presentation. So the different session objectives are obviously a weekly recap, to look at the circulatory system, the heart, the blood vessels, the blood flow and temperature. So the circulatory system is made up of the lungs, then you've got the heart, and then you've got the body. So it's made up of 3 different sections. I'm sure you can see here there's arrows that are popping up on the screen. This is related to what? Just quickly discuss what is related to. As I said, you should have gone through this yesterday, so if you need to pause it to discuss what it relates to, that's fine. So yes, one is related to oxygenated blood and one is related to deoxygenated blood. Which colour's which, guys? We'll go over that later anyway. So the heart, as you can see it pumping away there. Sorry guys, you'll have to bear with me whilst I look for something. So the heart is also known as a cardiac muscle. We've learned it to be a cardiac muscle. The walls of the heart are made up of cardiac muscle. That's why it is referred to as a cardiac muscle. And like any other muscle, it requires a supply of blood. The coronary arteries are responsible for supplying the heart muscle with oxygenated blood. So oxygenated blood is the red arrows that we referred to. Just quickly with the person next to you, or sat next to you, I want you to just identify where the heart is located using sporting terminology. So I want you to quickly just write down where the heart is situated, where it's located using sporting terminology. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Right, that is long enough. So the heart is located in the cavity between the sternum and the lungs. So guys, obviously the sternum, and we learnt when we did the bones and the skeletal system. So the sternum is the section in your chest, which I often said that if you have to have heart surgery, they have to saw through your sternum to get to your heart. The heart is made up of 4 chambers, so you can see here there are 4 different chambers. The top or the upper 2 chambers are called the atria, and the lower 2 chambers are called the ventricles. So the atria is basically where you can see here it receives blood into the heart. Where's my arrow gone? It receives blood into the heart, and then receives blood into the heart. Sorry, guys. It receives blood into the heart, and then it pumps the blood down into the ventricles. The ventricle then pump the blood out of the heart. So you can see the ventricles pumping the blood out of the heart. The heart is divided into 2 sections, the right hand side and the left hand side. So the right hand side and the left hand side, and they're divided by a muscular wall, which is just here. This is called the septum. So the heart is actually 2 separate pumps. So as you can see, 1 pump, 2 pumps, making a double circulatory system. So the ventricle on the right hand side of the heart, sends blood to the lungs to collect oxygen, so it's pulmonary, and the ventricles on the left hand side of the heart sends blood to the rest of the body, so is systemic. So that is why I was saying to you that one is oxygenated and one is deoxygenated. So the red side is oxygenated because it is sending blood to the lungs to collect oxygen. Blood flows through the heart and around the body in only one direction, guys. So there's only one direction that the blood flows around the body. The direction is maintained by special valves in the heart. These valves that you will have already come across are called the tricuspid and the bicuspid valves. They prevent blood flowing back into the atria from the ventricles, and the semilunar valves prevent blood flowing back into the ventricles once blood has left the heart via the pulmonary artery or the aorta. The veins also have valves which help to control the flow of blood. The heart has a pacemaker which is called the sinoatrial node. You might not have come across this. It's in the walls of the right atrium, and this regulates your heartbeat. So, the functions of the cardiovascular system. So oxygen enters the body when we breathe in air through the mouth and nose. The oxygen is absorbed into the bloodstream from the lungs. Your heart then pumps out the oxygenated blood, so the oxygen-rich blood, around the body through the arteries or tissues, including organs, muscles, and nerves. Let me just click these all up so you can read them all at the same time. When the blood reaches your tissues, it releases the oxygen, which is used by the cells to produce energy. In exchange, the cells release the waste products, so the cells get rid of the waste products, including carbon dioxide and water. So carbon dioxide is a waste product that are absorbed and carried away by blood. The used blood, or the deoxygenated blood, then travels along veins back towards your heart. So your heart pumps this blood back to your lungs, where carbon dioxide is breathed out, and when you breathe in again, obviously the blood picks back up fresh oxygen and the cycle starts again. So just in summary, the cardiovascular system, it circulates oxygen and it removes carbon dioxide. It provides cells with nutrients. It protects the body against disease and infection. So this is where your red blood cells, your white blood cells sort of come into it. It protects, particularly your white blood cells, protects the body against disease and infection. It stops bleeding after an injury, so this is where clotting comes into it. Obviously, after you've injured yourself, your blood has to clot for the bleeding to stop. And it removes waste products, so as I said, getting rid of carbon dioxide and water, and it transports hormones to cells and organs. And it just tries to keep or regulate your body at a steady temperature of 37 degrees. Go and relax. So guys, I've already spoken you through this, but you've got the upper body of, or so I say the upper chamber of the heart, the lower chamber. So you've got the atria, and then you've got the two ventricles. You've got the left-hand side of the lung and the right-hand side of the lung. Obviously, if you notice, looking at the picture, if you face it and you look and it says left lung, that's actually your right side, so that's your right hand. So it's flipped round. So obviously, your right lung is your left hand and your left lung is your right hand. It's because we're looking at this as though we'd be staring at someone's heart in front of us. So you've got your pulmonary veins, guys, that are there. You've got your left atrium. You've got your mitral valve. You've got your left ventricle. You've got your semilunar valve. You've got your oatra. You've got the supravena cava and the inferior vena cava. And then you've got your right atrium, your tricuspid valve, and your right ventricle. Guys, it's important that you're able to label the correct side of the heart. So it's important that you're able to label it correctly. Just don't automatically think because you're looking at it on paper it's the right hand side. Remember, it's flipped the other way around because you're looking at it as though it's a person's heart in their chest, as it would be in yours. You've got your pulmonary semilunar valve. So I've gone through all this with you guys before. Obviously, I want you guys to just make sure that all these names you've got correctly on your sheet that you filled out for the previous weeks. The ones that I've gone through with you are the only ones you need to know. So just put a little tick next to the ones you need to know. And obviously the other ones, the extra ones you found out, are unnecessary. It's good knowledge, but you don't need to know them for your exam. and then you've got your pulmonary arteries. So guys, as I was saying about blood vessels, you've got white blood cells, you've got red blood cells, and we're just going to cover over this for those of you that didn't necessarily understand it. So you've got something called so you've got your red blood cells, you've got your platelets, you've got your white blood cells. This is just what they look like. You've got plasma, which is the liquid part of blood. It's a dilute solution of salts, glucose, amino acids, vitamins, proteins, and fats. And then you've got your white blood cells. They're involved in your immune system. They help to fight infections. When you're ill. You've got platelets, which are involved in the blood clotting, and then you've got red blood cells, which are involved in carrying oxygen. You guys need to make sure you know these. They're quite important, but they're quite easy to understand. They all have a different role. I'm just going to click all of this up for you. So there are 3 different types of blood vessels. You've got your arteries, your veins, and your capillaries. It's got a little description here, but I'll just go through them in a little bit more detail. So arteries have thick, muscular, and elastic walls, and are used to carry blood away from the heart and around the body under high pressure. An exception to this is the pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Arteries branch repeatedly into smaller and smaller vessels. The smallest of these are arterioles, which have thinner walls than arteries. So an arteriole is a small diameter blood vessel that extends and branches out from the artery and leads to the capillaries. So that's a little bit extra information that you guys wouldn't have had yesterday. You've got your veins. Veins have thinner walls than arteries and carry blood to the heart. The smallest veins are called venules. Veins carry deoxygenated blood from the body towards the heart under low pressure. They have semilunar valves to maintain the direction of blood flow, which basically prevent the blood flowing backwards, as I said to you earlier. The exception is the pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood from the lungs back to the left atrium of the heart. So a venule is a very small blood vessel that allows blood to return from the capillary beds to the larger blood vessels called the veins. Venules are blood vessels that drain blood directly from the capillary beds. And then, guys, lastly, you've got capillaries. Capillaries have walls made up of only a single layer of cells. These walls are permeable to allow the exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and waste products through them. So they allow exchange of those different products. These are the smallest blood vessels, and they transport blood from the arteries to the veins by uniting the arterioles and venules. So there's just a little bit more information for you guys to help you understand. So here's just how all of those things link together. Here's just the diagram. Obviously the arteriole to the artery, to the arteriole, to the capillary, to the venule, to the vein. So carrying oxygenated blood, and then obviously deoxygenated blood. Moving forward. So some of you guys said you didn't really understand about the body temperature. So we're just going to go over that. So thermoregulation is basically the process used by the body to keep a constant temperature of 37 degrees. So your body regulates the temperature of 37 degrees. Your body, obviously, the temperature alters because of maybe the weather. It might be hot outside, so you get hot. The environment, obviously, when you're ill, you can burn up, or even when you're participating in sport, obviously, you get hot. If the body becomes too hot or too cold, this can affect its ability to function normally. So obviously, if you're really, really cold, then, you might get ill, your body doesn't function properly. If you're really, really hot, you may pass out, your body doesn't function properly. So this is why its temperature must be kept relatively constant. So 37 degrees is the sort of temperature that your body should regulate at. So if a decrease in temperature, I'm just going to click them up and then I'm going to talk you through them. Come on. So a decrease in temperature. In order to help the body cool down if it becomes too warm, the blood vessels, specifically the arterioles, oh, I'm having a bad day, under the skin open up, or they widen. This is called vasodilation. Rewind. We're talking about warming up first. Scrap that, guys. We'll come back to that. So, guys, if there's a decrease in your body temperature, so if the body becomes too cold, 3 things happen to help you warm up. The blood vessels, the arterioles under the skin close down, guys. So the blood vessels under the skin close down or constrict. This is called vasoconstriction. This process helps conserve heat by decreasing the flow of warm blood at the body's surface. So very little heat is lost through radiation and redirecting this flow to the body's core. So basically it tries to redirect the flow of blood to the body's core. The skin and your fat help to insulate the body, but you may start to shiver where it's your body's way of trying to generate heat. So when you get goosebumps, obviously you might be cold and then you start to shiver, and that's your body's way of trying to generate heat. Obviously it says at the bottom, too low body temperature can cause hypothermia and may result in death if left untreated. I'd like to think that would never happen to any of you guys. And then increase in temperature. So if you need to cool down, so in order to help the body cool down if it becomes too warm, the blood vessels under the skin open up. So it says here they dilate. So another terminology is open up. This is called vasodilation. This process helps to promote heat loss through radiation. So your skin color will be enhanced because of the blood flow to the surface of the skin. So you might look like you're burning up. Your sweat glands may also start to produce sweat. This will evaporate from the skin, and this helps to cool the body down. So it's basically the water from the blood is excreted as sweat to cool the body down. So hopefully you guys understand a little bit more. Here is your exam-based question. It says, which of the following definitions best describe the septum? Obviously, you guys should have answered it yesterday. It was A. It separates the left and the right side of the heart. So, as I said to you, the septum is a muscular tissue which separates the 2 sides of the heart, or basically it separates the ventricles. So in terms of the session objectives, we've gone through all of this criteria. If you still don't understand, obviously we'll have extra sessions on it when I'm back, where we can include it in our revision sessions. These are all the key words you would have covered. So OHA, vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, pulmonary circulation, systematic circulation, oxygenated, deoxygenated, arteries, veins, capillaries, atria, ventricles, septum, tricuspid valve, bicuspid or the mitral valve, seminal valve, vasodilation, vasoconstriction, red blood cells, white cells, platelets, plasma. Oh, so guys, if you're unfamiliar with any of these things, then now is your time to find out which ones you know and you've come across. Any that you haven't come across or don't remember coming across, I want you to Google a definition and just write next to it a little definition so that you can ask me and we can go over it at a later date. So guys, so far this is what we've gone over. We've gone over the muscles, we've gone over the skeletal system, we've gone over the heart. So these are the things that we've gone over so far. How are you going to revise for anatomy and physiology? I keep telling you guys that you need to start revising now. So it's important that you guys do start revising because if you don't start revising soon, bearing in mind the exam is going to be in a couple of weeks, then you are unlikely to pass. On Moodle, there's revision sheets. I can't express this enough, that there are multiple revision sheets. I've made and created another one for the cardiovascular system. So I've created another one that you guys need to look at. So if you haven't printed the others, then I suggest today you print the others along with the cardiovascular revision sheet, and you put them up on your wall and you start revising them. So you need to revise for the topic we've just covered. When I am back at some point, we're going to have a little mini test on this. Do some activities to just test how much you guys know. So it's important that you keep going over this along with going over the 2 previous topics as well. Thank you. So guys, I want you to just go back through the video and go to the sections you're unclear of and then listen to them, make some extra notes, fill out this sheet, as I said, if you haven't filled it out already, and then there is, after you finish that, there is the next presentation on the respiratory system which you guys need to go through. It's just an introduction to it because I'm aware you would have had to go through this video first. So if you go on Moodle and you go to the respiratory system, there is a presentation on that with a little task for you guys to complete and upload to Moodle. It shouldn't take you too long, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get through it as well.